गति शक्ति विश्वविद्यालय जैसी संस्थान देश में न केवल तकनीकी और नवाचार लाएंगे बल्कि दुनिया के अंदर भारत की कौशल क्षमता को एक अलग आयाम देने का काम करेगी। मैं ये निवेदन करना चाहूंगा इस चर्चा के माध्यम से, खासतौर पर माननीय मंत्री जी से, जो खासतौर पर बिहार को अच्छी तरह से जानते हैं, मैं निवेदन करूंगा बिहार के सबसे प्रमुख ऐतिहासिक विश्वविद्यालय पटना यूनिवर्सिटी की तरफ भी माननीय शिक्षा मंत्री का ध्यान ले जाना चाहते हैं। जो सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटी बनाने की मांग न जाने कितने जमाने से हो रही है। देश में जब यूनिवर्सिटी खुली थी 5 वैसे में एक स्थान पटना विश्वविद्यालय का है, जिसमें बिहार के लोग काफी दिनों से सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटी की मांग कर रहे हैं। मैं समझता हूं कि हाल में ही माननीय प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी भी 2017 में पटना विश्वविद्यालय का जब गोल्डन जुबली समारोह मनाया जा रहा था, उसमें शिरकत करने का काम किया था। सरकार के पास देश भर में 10 प्राइवेट और 10 पब्लिक यूनिवर्सिटी है जो विश्व स्तरीय योग्य है, और पटना यूनिवर्सिटी भी इस योजना से जुड़े, इसके लिए मैं सरकार का ध्यान आकर्षित करूंगा। वर्तमान में विश्वविद्यालयों की कमी से जूझ रही है। देश में प्रतिष्ठित कॉलेजों की तुलना में यहाँ न तो छात्रों को बेहतर रिसर्च लायक संस्थान है और न ही इन्हें माहौल मिल रहा है। वैसे मैं धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूँ माननीय वर्तमान सरकार का, शिक्षा मंत्री का, प्रधानमंत्री जी का, कि सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटी बिहार में अन्य जगहों पर एक मोतिहारी में और एक गया में खोला गया है, मगर बावजूद इसके मैं निवेदन करना चाहूंगी उसकी आवश्यकता है। आप जानते हैं कि बड़े पैमाने पर अच्छी सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटी के योग्य नहीं रहने की वजह से बिहार के बहुत बच्चे देश के बाहर में जाने का काम करते हैं। देश और दुनिया में आईटी में क्रांतिकारी परिवर्तन हो रहा है, मगर महत्वपूर्ण शहर आधुनिक शिक्षा के लिए अब तक तरस रहा है जो पटना है, पटना है। चूंकि यूनिवर्सिटी पटना का ही नहीं बिहार का एक महत्वपूर्ण यूनिवर्सिटी है, और मैं समझता हूं कि यहाँ सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटी नहीं होने की वजह से इसके इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में, इसकी गुणवत्ता में बहुत कमी है, जिसकी वजह से बच्चों को दिल्ली और अन्य शहरों में बेहतर शिक्षा प्राप्त करने के लिए जाना पड़ता है। और यही नहीं, वहाँ इतने गरीब बच्चे हैं जो आर्थिक रूप से कमजोर बच्चे हैं, उनके परिवार पर अत्यधिक दबाव पड़ता है। मैं निवेदन करना चाहूंगा, बिहार की राजधानी पवित्र गंगा नदी के किनारे शानदार अतीत वाले पटना यूनिवर्सिटी को सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटी का दर्जा अगर भारत सरकार देती है, माननीय मंत्री जी ने इस पर कृपा करते हैं, तो मैं समझता हूं कि पाटलिपुत्रा की इस भूमि पर जो हमारी ऐतिहासिक भूमि रही है, उसमें ज्ञान की गंगा का देश में बहने लगेगी, और दूसरों राज्यों में जब उच्चतर शिक्षा प्राप्त करने के लिए बाद बच्चों को जाना पड़ता है, उसमें खास तौर पर जो गरीब, हमारी जो सरकार की जो गरीब कल्याण, वर्तमान में गरीब कल्याण के लिए समर्पित सरकार है, एक नया तरह का अवसर मिलेगा। और समझिए कि सरकार उसके लिए सरकार को मैं आभार व्यक्त करूंगा। इससे राज्य में उच्चतर शिक्षा का सारा सकारात्मक माहौल बनेगा। योग्य शिक्षकों का मार्गदर्शन से युवा शक्ति को एक तरक्की करने का अवसर प्राप्त होगा, जो बिहार के लोग हैं, बिहार के बच्चे हैं। इसलिए मैं माननीय मंत्री जी से, केंद्र की सरकार से, माननीय प्रधानमंत्री से विनम्र प्रार्थना करूंगा कि पटना विश्वविद्यालय को केंद्रीय विश्वविद्यालय का दर्जा देने की कृपा प्रदान की जाए। इसे बिहार की जनता और पाटलिपुत्रा की जनता इस सरकार को आभार करेगी। इन्हीं चंद शब्दों के साथ मैं पुनः ये जो विधेयक है केंद्रीय विश्वविद्यालय
for allowing me to participate in the discussion. Sir, I stand in support of Central Universities Amendment Bill 2022. Sir, the bill proposes to provide for converting the National Rail and Transportation Institute (NRTI) deemed to be university into a central university. The with the establishment of this university, the broad achievements will be that it will create a cadre of best-in-class transportation talent, facilitate best-in-country industry career options, upskill and evolve the capability in transportation sector to cater to new industry demands, high quality education, research and skill development in various disciplines. Sir, the establishment of this Vishwavidhalaya, known as Gati Shakti Vishwavidhalaya, will also upskill and evolve capability in the transportation sector to cater to new industry demands through high quality teaching, research and skill development in various disciplines. Sir, the establishment of the university shall foster collaboration between public sector, private industry and academia. It shall create a digitally enabled environment that fosters and promotes the spirit of entrepreneurship among the students. Sir, with the establishment of the university, it will be possible to provide a base for in-depth research in transport sector, which is needed in the current scenario. As a central university will also be able to attract the best of academic industrial talent due to the stature of central university. Innovate programs relevant to the current industries. Sir, we will do that as well. Sir, we will do that. We must remember, sir, because of the premier institutions like Indian Institute of Technology and Indian Institute of Management, we were able to add to the workforce and give new opportunities to the youth. Sir, my only concern is that not everything should go to Gujarat. It should be equally distributed amongst all the regions. No, sir. Important is, I would also request that a University of Tourism and Hospitality should be established in Anantnag. Sir, at the same time, I will also join the protest against the misuse of the agencies.
Shri K. Raman Naidu ji.
We should work to facilitate. We should work.
Thank you, Honourable Chairman, sir, for giving me the opportunity to speak on this bill. At the outset, I welcome the upgradation of the National Rail and Transport Institute in Gujarat to Gati Shakti University with broader scope, sir. Logistics is a key enabler of economic growth, and if we focus on logistics development, we can reach the goal of the $5 trillion economy which we are striving to achieve. In fact, sir, we can then create even higher goals for ourselves. To support this vision, there is a need to create more transport and logistic professionals, and to that extent, an institute of Gati Shakti is in the right direction, sir. Sir, India has been at the heart of many crucial developments in science and technology, be it the discovery of zero, the Raman effect, the study of bosons, also known as the God particle. Our ancestors have achieved the zenith of human progress. Moreover, our country was one of the first to establish the finest universities, sir, such as Nalanda, Takshila, and also Mithila. However, sadly right now, sir, somewhere down the line, we have lost the edge globally. Considering this dire situation, I seek to highlight the issues and the possible solutions that the government can take up. Sir, as we all know, Indian universities are still struggling on the global rankings chart, though the number has been promising lately, which is 41. Last year, however, we still have not been able to crack the global rankings, sir. The reason for the underperformance of the universities are largely attributed to some of the following reasons, sir. Lack of global diversity in terms of foreign teachers and students, and lack of global repute, inadequate student-to-faculty ratio, and obsolete research facilities, sir. Factoring this, I suggest that this newly upgraded university have tie-ups with similar entities across the world globally while promoting indigenous knowledge and also innovation, sir. As I understand, the bill also provides for the establishment of additional university campuses and regional centers. Presently, such a campus is being proposed to be set up in Kolkata and a regional center in Kollam. Sir, considering the Indian peninsula to be the hub of maritime activity, I suggest that an additional campus could be set up in South India in the North Andhra region, to be specific, sir, where we already have a major port in Visakhapatnam. It will also bolster the Look East policy, sir. Sir, last point, then I'll finish. Last point, I'll finish, sir. Sir, before moving on to broader national issues, sir, in 2014, the AP Reorganization Act was promised a slew of universities and institutions, sir, which include IIIT, NIT, IIM, ISER, Central University, Petroleum University.
सभा की कार्यवाही दोपहर 4 बजे तक के लिए स्थगित की जाती है। बाद में करिएगा, बाद में करिएगा।
washing away their immense preparative efforts while also having a negative impact on their health, even resulting in their death in certain extreme cases. A bill seeking to curb this problem is a good step toward protecting and looking after the safety of our country's athletes. The next point is inclusion of athlete support personnel. Under this new bill, athlete support personnel described as any coach, trainer, manager, agent, team staff, official, medical or paramedical personnel or such other person working with or treating or assisting an athlete who is participating or preparing for at the national level or international level or to which this act applies, will also be subjected to consequences of violation. Considering that there are various cases of athletes testing positive due to supplements containing contaminated substances given to them by their coach or other staff members, subjecting them to punishments or fines or other disciplinary action will ensure more responsibility from their side as well as and may lead to a decrease in such cases. The next one is therapeutic use exemption. This bill, in accordance with the international standards for therapeutic use, shall grant certain athletes undergoing medical treatment to be allowed to take medicines or drugs included in the list of banned substances as an exemption. As sports persons throughout their career may sustain injuries that require such treatment, it is another positive addition to the bill that will allow for regulation of banned substances as part of medical treatment. Few observations, sir. I would like to put up, a few of my observations. Most of the doping incidents in India are unintentional. In India, a number of athletes do not actually intend to use any enhancement drugs or steroids. However, a number of ordinary medicines that are meant to cure common pain or illness and even some daily used products also contain some amount of banned substances. A lack of knowledge regarding the presence of banned substances is the reason why most of the doping incidents in India takes place. Recent estimates project that these cases are about 12 per year. That is, one athlete per month is caught out due to not carefully checking everything that is put into their body or being appropriately educated on their rights and responsibilities. The next observation is the responsibility solely on the athletes. These regulations in the bill makes an athlete strictly liable for any banned substances entering their body, and therefore the burden of protecting their body against any such prohibited substances lies on the athlete themselves. So therefore this bill should have provisions that call for the National Anti-Doping Agency or the National Board to take responsibility for protecting the athletes from instances of accidental ingestion through proper education and also proper labeling of supplements, medicines or other products that are likely to contain these banned substances. So few suggestions, sir. Localized awareness programs. So across all the stakeholders who are part of the sports industry must be brought in, an IEC program. Information, education and communication programs must be brought in across all the stakeholders. India is set to adopt the international anti-doping rules verbatim without considering some ground realities and challenges that will eventually arise. The National Anti-Doping Agency's educational programs are conventional as the language mainly used is English, which may not be easy to understand by most of the athletes coming from rural backgrounds. Owing to this, there are many cases in which athletes have taken the plea of unknowingly committing the violation due to lack of knowledge. Thus, anti-doping programs and presentations should be conducted in the vernacular language of the athlete, as it helps in acquiring them better with the technicalities of doping. The bill should also provide for a complete list of banned substances in regional languages to the athletes so that the athletes can have a better understanding relating to that. The increasing testing infrastructure. As per the NADA's regulations, an athlete is expected to conduct research before consuming any supplement. However, there is a lack of laboratories in India that carry out such specific tests on supplement, and if an athlete finds such a laboratory, the cost of carrying out the tests are high. Also, the suspension of country's national dope testing laboratory due to non-conformation to the international standards for laboratories posed additional problems for athletes, especially during the 2020 Olympics, for which they had to get tested in laboratories outside India. As NDTL was prohibited from carrying out any anti-doping activities, including all analysis of urine and blood samples. The point towards lack of infrastructure required for the proper adoption of anti-doping regulations. NDTL should be improved and more such labs should be set up in different states of India. So trained personnel also have to be brought in across various levels. Mental pressures on athletes should be brought down. So with all these things, sir, I would like to say that the sports without ethics and fair play becomes a baseless competition. Hence, we need to protect our athletes. We need to bring back the true spirit of sports, one which is not tainted with any fear of losing. With these suggestions, I support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Shri K.R. Suresh Reddy ji.
Thank you, sir. At the outset, I would like to congratulate all the sportspersons who have excelled at the Commonwealth Games, who have kept our country's flag flying high. I welcome this bill, sir, and more so feel reassured that it is being piloted by a young minister who is not only young but also very keenly involved in sports activities. So I am sure the bill and the mood of this House in their presentations would be taken in letter and spirit by the Honourable Minister. I have a couple of suggestions and a couple of queries, sir. Now, India signed this UNESCO Convention against doping in 2005 and you ratified it in 2007. Now, why has it taken almost 15 to 16 long years to bring in this bill? We've seen the other day also on Antarctica, whenever international conventions are signed, treaties are signed, and when it mandates legislation, it seems to be taking a pretty long time. And I'm not in full know-how of why the delay, but the Honourable Minister can kindly explain that, sir. There are a couple of issues relating to the bill, sir. The World Anti-Doping Code, the WADA code, as we call it, makes a very clear distinction between majors and minors. And it sets a lesser punishment for the minors. In the bill piloted by the Honourable Minister, if you see Clause 2, Subclause D of the bill, athlete is defined as any person. Now, to be more specific, the bill can contain a separate subclause under Clause 2, which defines minors as persons below the age of 18. And further, Clause 6, which talks about the consequences of anti-doping rule violations, insert a separate provision which states that minors will be subjected to lesser punishments, like letting them off with a warning, decreasing the duration of suspension, and not basically publishing the name of such minor who has committed this anti-doping violation as under your Clause 27.1. The other WADA code guidelines, sir, which talks about the significance and independence and impartiality of the National Anti-Dope Agency, the NADA. However, the way in which the current bill is structured, the central government has its own say in appointing and removing the Director General of NADA, thereby breaching the ideals contained in the WADA code. I suggest that the bill should have a provision which states explicit qualification for the Director General's appointment under Clause 15, Subclause 1, sir. Director General should be a person who excels in this activity. It should not be meant for any retired officials, or it should not be meant for any political adjustments. So if the bill is very clear, it makes it easier for the government to move in that direction. And now coming to the removal of the Director General, Clause 15, Subclause 8 defines the grounds for removal as a proven misbehavior, incapacity, and then the third is such other ground. Now, the meaning of such other ground is not very clear. I suggest that the phrase such other ground be defined more specifically so as to ensure no unfettered discretion being used by the central government in the Director General's removal, sir. These are being very specific because you are reflecting the UNESCO Convention, and you emerging, India today emerging not only as a big financial strong nation, but also in the sports we are emerging as a very strong nation. So these very clear descriptions in our law makes it in tune with the various laws in other developed countries, sir. And the same analogy applies even in the disciplinary panels and appeals panel also. They face the threat of government interference. The grounds of removal are not specified in clauses 1 and 12 respectively. I suggest that these be stated in the text of the bill itself. And finally, on educating the people about the demerits of doping which spoils the athlete's career, Part 4 of the UNESCO Convention against anti-doping in sports requires state parties to engage in imparting educational programs on anti-doping. It also requires states to provide accurate information on the harm of doping, to the ethical values of sports, the health consequences of doping. The government can take note of these obligations and create educational sensitization programs for the athletes. Such programs will also help prevent negligent or unknowing violations of the anti-doping bill, sir. With these, I welcome the bill, sir, and I would also like to place on record that I come from Nizamabad, where the world boxing champion Nikhil Zarin comes from. So I'm very proud that today I've been able to be part of this bill. And of course, Telangana, like rest of the country, today has been producing many wonderful sportspersons who have excelled internationally. So it is not just confined. Of course, Haryana has always been a very good example for us, inspiration for us. But today, the entire country is working on those lines. Now, keeping this in mind, the state of Telangana, the government of Telangana has also been developing and encouraging sports in a similar manner by not just through educational stuff, but also in terms of very good budgetary support.
Thank you.
So I welcome the bill, sir, and I congratulate the Honourable Minister.
Thank you. Dr. John Britasji.
Thank you, sir. At the outset, let me salute General D.P. Watts. He has been dispassionately objective, and he even went to the extent of proposing inter-caste, inter-religious marriages to have better breeds. I don't know whether Aniragji would subscribe to his view, and I would say that General is different, and I would appreciate it. Sir, I really wanted to dwell on the nuances of the bill. However, many of the points which I want to speak have already been spoken here. Nevertheless, we have so much of concerns with regard to the structure and who all will be part of the board, the independence of such bodies, what could be the rules, what could be the criteria. All sorts of things actually are kept in wake. Sir, I don't want to tell about the suspension of the accreditation of NDTL, which happened in 2019. Devendra was kind enough to point out that. It was a shame for us. What would the government do to avoid such a, I would say, such an incident which made us to lose our peace? Sir, we have a prominent sportsperson, P.T. Ushaji here. Devendra and General were lavishly talking about Haryana. They should have at least spoken about Kerala, because we have a social ecosystem whereby we promote sports. That is the peculiarity of Kerala. General Watt spoke about that. I told that he is a general with difference. He should be sitting here with us. Okay. Sir, just in July, 2 of our brilliant athletes were debarred. And sir, this bill should be providing us a window to the situation that is existing now. Our minister is ebullient, young, dynamic, though he is very active in politics also. And I would request that he should concentrate on sports a little more. As much as he is so enthusiastic about the political happenings surrounding. Sir, as we all know, sports, we have no religion, caste, creed, language, color or sex. It is universal. In India, everyone loves sports. Everyone wants Indian sportspersons to excel. But sir, a country with 1 billion plus population, we have certain achievements. Is that what is required now? Don't we need to, tread ahead, progress? And Aniragji, just ponder over the budgetary allocations you have. You should be using your political clout to increase the allocation, which you are not doing. Actually, the budgetary allocation has gone down. from 25 crores, it has gone down to 16 crores. This is the situation. And Khelo India program currently accounts nearly 30% of the sports budget. Sir, we need to have absolute increase and specific allocation to enhance the sports in this country. Sir, hardly 0.07% is the allocation. There are small countries like Romania, Latvia, etc., which allocate more funds. Please ask Kushaji, please ask her how much the sports person require. And I would request that you should consult her. Don't make us sit here alone. You should consult her on sports. You should use her parents also. Sir, I have a suggestion. The minister should take interest in such a way that a portion of the CSR earnings should be demarcated for the sports activities. That should be propagated and promoted. Sir, we have to catch our people at young age. That's how we had.
Honourable member,
Sir, I would just come to one or two small points more. Anurag ji, we should be perturbed over the politics that are in our sports federations. We have many federations. How many federations have been derecognized due to mismanagement, lack of transparency, lack of correction? Even in our Indian Olympics Association, one of your friends in BJP is fighting with another rival group. And too much of politics in sports bodies. Sir, 50% of the sports bodies are headed by politicians. Do you want to have that much of politics on sports bodies? I have no objection to Deependraji becoming a sports authority. He is passionate about sports. But think about those people who do not have any knowledge about the domain of sports, presiding over sports empires only for narrow parochial interest. You have to have a control. I know that your limitations, because some of the big wigs are presiding already over some of the sports federations. I don't want to name them, which you know that. You're smiling. Your smile gives us, obviously, an answer to the question I raised. Sir, cricket is overbearing. I have no issue. We all talk about the money they generated from the market, say about 50,000 crore. But think about other games and sports. Don't you want, we need to have a even structure in our sports culture. We don't want to neglect, we don't want to denigrate any vertical of our sports, sir. So I would request the Honourable Minister to have a wholesome view. And last point, sir, sports medicine. When we talk about this doping, please understand that we got a person like Messi because his hormonal deficiency were identified when he was an adolescent. We should develop sports medicine as a counter to the doping that is happening, counter to the drugs.
Thank you.
And we have Ayurveda in Kerala. He just comes to meet few press persons in Kerala. You should come and meet us also. We will suggest you the ways where you can use Ayurveda to inculcate and to have sports medicine. Sir, the last point I want to make is that...
Your last point was 2 points back.
Last. This is last. Sir, we have spectators' interest. We should not limit the sports to be something of the spectators. We should have participatory element in sports. I would request Honourable Minister to consider these points. There are so many nuances which I wanted to dwell out on the bill, but many persons have already spoken about that. So I would earnestly urge our young minister to see that something is done spectacular. Thank you.
Thank you. माननीय श्री संजय सिंह जी।
मान्यवर, आपने इस एंटी डोपिंग बिल पे मुझे अपनी बात कहने का मौका दिया। मान्यवर, जब हम लोग आज इस बिल के बारे में चर्चा कर रहे हैं तो हमारा सौभाग्य है कि अपने जमाने की उड़न परी जिसको कहा गया और जो इस समय इस सदन में है पीटी उषा जी, उनका भी हम सारे लोग अभिनंदन करते हैं उनके रहते हुए इस बिल पर चर्चा। मान्यवर, अगर मैं आम आदमी पार्टी की बात करूं तो जब हम इस बिल पर चर्चा कर रहे हैं तो हिंदुस्तान के मशहूर क्रिकेट खिलाड़ी जिनकी गुगली से अच्छे विकेट गिर जाते थे, हरभजन सिंह जी भी हमारी पार्टी के राज्यसभा के सांसद। मान्यवर, ये बिल हम सब के लिए हम सब के लिए दूसरा गेंद उनकी फेमस गेंद हुआ करती थी हरभजन सिंह जी, जिसका जिक्र कर। तो मान्यवर अनिल कुंबले की भी गूगली याद कर,
तुम क्यों ले रहे हैं?
नहीं, सबकी है। हमने ये कहा कि हमने अपनी पार्टी की ओर से राज्यसभा के सदन में हमने लाने का काम किया। मान्यवर, ये बिल जब मैं पढ़ रहा था तो मुझे एक अच्छी बात इसमें लगी कि बिल स्टैंडिंग कमेटी में गया, उसके बाद जनता से राय मांगी गई, उसके बाद लोकसभा के पटल पर लाया गया और अब राज्यसभा में चर्चा में आया है। बहुत अच्छी बात है कि सघन रूप से इस बिल के ऊपर चर्चा करके कई स्तरों पर उसके बाद यह बिल लाया गया है। और जब डोपिंग टेस्ट में लोग पॉजिटिव आने के बाद उनका कैरियर चौपट होता है तो बड़े बड़े अखबारों की हेडलाइन बन जाती है, उनको खेल की प्रतियोगिता से वंचित तो रखा जाता है, लेकिन उसकी टेस्टिंग सही थी या गलत थी, उसके साथ न्याय हुआ या अन्याय हुआ, इसके बारे में फिर पूरे जीवन भर उसके बारे में कोई सोचता नहीं, पूछता नहीं, और उसको हमेशा खेल बिरादरी और राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर उपेक्षा की दृष्टि से देखा जाता है मान्यवर। और इसमें सबसे ज्यादा जो मामला मुझे याद है मान्यवर, वो हमारे युवा होनहार पहलवान नरसिंह यादव का मामला मान्यवर। हिंदुस्तान से डोपिंग टेस्ट पास करके गए और अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर पे ओलंपिक के खेल में उनको फेल कर दिया जाता है। मैं समझता हूं कि इस बिल से अब ऐसी घटनाओं से हमें मदद मिलेगी जहां पर राष्ट्रीय स्तर से खिलाड़ी पास होकर राष्ट्रीय नाडा से पास होकर खिलाड़ी अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर के खेलों में जाता है और वहां उसको फेल करके पीछे कर दिया जाता है। इसलिए मैं आम आदमी पार्टी की ओर से इस बिल का पूरी तरीके से समर्थन करता हूं। देश के हित में है, अच्छा है, खिलाड़ियों को इससे सुरक्षा मिलेगी। लेकिन यहां चिंता व्यक्त की दीपेंद्र हुड्डा जी ने, यहां चिंता व्यक्त की सदन के दूसरे हमारे माननीय सांसदों ने कि ये कई बार ये डोपिंग के चक्कर में लोग फंसते क्यों हैं, खिलाड़ी अतिरिक्त ताकत लेने के चक्कर में फंसते हैं। वो अतिरिक्त ताकत लेने की सोच उनके मन में आती कहां से है? क्योंकि जब वो मेडल की रेस में जब पीछे होते जाते हैं, सोचते चलो किसी तरीके से मेडल हासिल करते हैं, लेकिन कई बार उनके साथ साजिश भी होती है। उनके साथ जो टेस्ट होता है, ऐसे इंजेक्शन जानबूझ के उनको दिए जाते हैं जिससे वो टेस्टिंग में फेल हो जाए। और इसलिए इस बिल का होना बहुत आवश्यक है कि ऐसी तमाम साजिशों पर, ऐसी तमाम कार्रवाइयों पर और ऐसी टेस्टिंग कर करके जो हमारे खिलाड़ियों को पीछे रखा जाता है, उससे उनको बचाया जा सके। लेकिन इसके साथ साथ क्या खेल के प्रति हमारी सरकार का ध्यान है मान्यवर? यहां माननीय मंत्री जी बैठे, मैं आपके माध्यम से बड़ी विनम्रता पूर्वक उनसे पूछना चाहता हूं, 130 करोड़ की आबादी वाले हिंदुस्तान में आप अच्छे खिलाड़ी कैसे बनाएंगे जब आप खेल का बजट मात्र 3000 करोड़ रुपए रखते हैं? 3000 करोड़ रुपए का बजट आप 130 करोड़ की आबादी में रख रहे हैं। और 2021 में आपने खेल का बजट कम किया, इस बार थोड़ा बहुत आपने बढ़ाया। तो खेल को इतने उपेक्षा भाव से क्यों देखा जाता है? खेल के ऊपर हमारा बजट क्यों इतना कम रहता है? खेल की तरफ हमारी सरकार का ध्यान क्यों नहीं जाता? और जब आज एंटी डोपिंग पे आप चर्चा कर रहे हैं मान्यवर, पूरा देश हम लोगों को सुन रहा होगा और खास तौर से हमारे वो नौजवान सुन रहे होंगे जो हरियाणा के गांवों में, उत्तर प्रदेश के गांवों में, बिहार के गांवों में, पूरे देश के अंदर दिन रात सुबह 4 बजे उठ के शाम तक मेहनत करते थे कि उनको देश की सेना में भारत के लिए मरने मिटने का मौका मिलेगा। उनको भी आपने बगैर डोपिंग टेस्ट के फेल कर दिया। उनको तो बगैर डोपिंग टेस्ट के आपने फेल कर दिया, भारत की सेना में जिनके मन में जाने का जज्बा था। यह अग्निवीर योजना लाके, यह 4 साल की योजना लाके उनके जीवन के साथ खिलवाड़ किया आपने। मान्यवर, मैं आप लोगों से, आपके माध्यम से इस सरकार से कहना चाहता हूं, कभी आइए देखिए और खेल को बढ़ावा कैसे दिया जाता है। खुले मन से आइए खेल मंत्री जी, चलते हैं दिल्ली के सरकारी स्कूलों में, जहां अरविंद केजरीवाल और मनीष सिसोदिया ने मिलकर सरकारी स्कूलों के अंदर स्विमिंग पूल का निर्माण किया है, सरकारी स्कूलों के अंदर हॉकी के ग्राउंड बनाए हैं, एथलीट के ग्राउंड बनाए हैं, वर्ल्ड क्लास हॉकी के ग्राउंड बनाए हैं, जहां पर बड़े बड़े स्पोर्ट्समैन तैयार करने के लिए मिशन एक्सीलेंस की योजना दिल्ली की सरकार लेके आई। और केजरीवाल जी की सरकार कहती है खिलाड़ियों को सबसे ज्यादा मदद, आर्थिक मदद की जरूरत तब होती है जब वो उसकी खेल की प्रतिभा को निखारना होता है। आप मदद कब करते हैं? कोई ओलंपिक में गोल्ड पा गया, कोई सिल्वर पा गया, कोई एशियाड में मेडल पा गया, उसके बाद कई राज्य सरकारें उसके पीछे कोई 20 लाख, कोई 50 लाख, कोई 1 करोड़ के सहयोग देने के लिए होड़ लग जाती है। लेकिन जो खिलाड़ी संघर्ष कर रहा होता, मान्यवर, जो खिलाड़ी मेहनत कर रहा होता, जिसके खेल में प्रतिभा है, जो ओलंपिक में गोल्ड पा सकता है, सिल्वर पा सकता है, ब्रॉन्ज पा सकता है, जो एशियाड में मेडल पा सकता है, उसकी मदद करने के लिए क्या योजना है? ये योजना दिल्ली की सरकार, अरविंद केजरीवाल जी की सरकार लेकर आई। और मिशन एक्सीलेंस में हम दिल्ली के खिलाड़ियों को, प्रतिभावान खिलाड़ियों को, जिनके अंदर संभावना है खेल के अंदर बड़े बड़े खेल प्रतियोगिताओं में मेडल पाने की, उनको 16 लाख रुपए तक की सालाना मदद करते हैं मानवर, 16 लाख रुपए तक की। और दूसरी दिल्ली सरकार की योजना है मानवर, प्ले एंड प्रोग्रेस की योजना, प्ले एंड प्रोग्रेस की योजना। इसमें ऐसे बच्चों को हम लोग तैयार करते हैं जो आगे चल के अपने बचपन से ही खेल के अलग अलग खेलों में जिसमें उनकी विधा है, जिस खेल में वो अच्छी प्रतिभा रखते हैं, उनको मदद करके उनको आगे बढ़ाना और उनको मेडल के लिए तैयार करना, उनको बड़ी बड़ी खेल प्रतियोगिताओं के लिए तैयार करना। और दिल्ली की सरकार ने स्पोर्ट्स यूनिवर्सिटी बनाई सर, खेल का विश्वविद्यालय। और ये अपने आप में एक ऐसा अनोखा खेल का विश्वविद्यालय है जहां खेल को ही उसकी पढ़ाई मानी गई है, खेल को ही उसकी डिग्री मानी गई है, खेल को ही उसका जीवन माना गया है। वो अलग अलग खेलों में जिसमें भी वो जाना चाहता है, उसके खेल के हिसाब से उसको स्टेडियम उपलब्ध कराया जाएगा, उसको मदद की जाएगी और उसको हॉस्टल की सुविधा, खाने की सुविधा, रहने की सुविधा, खेलने की सुविधा, उसके खेल की प्रतिभा को ही उसको डिग्री माना जाएगा। ऐसा खेल का विश्वविद्यालय दिल्ली की सरकार ने, केजरीवाल जी की सरकार ने बनाया। तो इसलिए मान्यवर, हमने दिल्ली के अंदर खेल को बढ़ावा देने के लिए अनेक कदम उठाए हैं। मैं फिर से आपके माध्यम से इस बिल का समर्थन करते हुए सरकार से अनुरोध करूंगा, हमारे खेल मंत्री जी से अनुरोध करूंगा कि ये जो खेल का बजट है, ये ऊंट के मुंह में जीरा है, इस बजट को बढ़ाइए। बहुत सारे ऐसे खिलाड़ी हैं जो अर्जुन अवार्डी हैं, जिनको बड़े बड़े अवार्ड मिले हैं, जिनको बड़े बड़े मेडल मिले हैं। ऐसी कहानियां पढ़ने को मिलती है कि वो अपना मेडल बेच के कहीं मूंगफली बेच रहे हैं, कहीं चाय की दुकान लगा रहे हैं, कहीं ठेले लगा रहे हैं, कहीं सब्जी बेच रहे हैं। ये जो खबरें आती हैं मान्यवर, ये दिल को दुख देती हैं, तकलीफ देती हैं। मैं जिस उत्तर प्रदेश से आता हूं, वहां की आबादी 24 करोड़ की है और उस 24 करोड़ की आबादी में मान्यवर, जब हम पढ़ते हैं ओलंपिक का मेडल, एशियाड का मेडल, कॉमनवेल्थ का मेडल और उसमें हमारे प्रदेश का नाम नहीं होता, तो हमें तकलीफ होती है। इसलिए मैं अनुरोध करूंगा कि खेल की ओर ज्यादा ध्यान दीजिए, खेल का बजट बढ़ाने का काम कीजिए। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद माननीय।
थैंक यू मिस्टर संजय सिंह जी। नाउ श्रीमती पीटी उषा। प्लीज 238.
238. Yeah. A member while speaking shall not refer to any matter of fact on which a judicial decision is pending. Yeah. He was referring about Agniveer and Agniveer matter is pending with the Supreme Court. So मैं आग्रह करूंगा कि इसको नहीं है, वो सब जुडिस है, वो मामला।
Please.
सर
No.
ये मामला
Please sit down. 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 Yes, raise the point of order. You please sit down.
Sir, it is very clear, sir.
Kindly sit
down. A member while speaking shall not refer to any matter of fact.
Sushil ji,
on
please.
Which a judicial.
Sushil ji, you need not repeat. It will be examined by the chair. Please sit down. Please sit down.
Please sit down. Please sit down. Excuse me, you please sit down. You please sit down. One more. Minister.
Sir, I didn't want you to intervene. I'll reply in detail later. But I just wanted to apprise the House, because the Honourable Member right now mentioned about Uttar Pradesh. I just want to say, इस देश में केवल एक राज्य ऐसा है जिसने अपने ही राज्य के एथलीट्स को टोक्यो ओलंपिक्स के बाद सम्मानित नहीं, बल्कि देश भर के जितने एथलीट्स मेडल जीत कर आए थे उन सबको सम्मानित करने का काम किया। तो उत्तर प्रदेश की सरकार ने योगी आदित्यनाथ जी ने करने का काम किया। तो ये हाउस पे थोड़ा रिकॉर्ड स्ट्रेट रहे। मैं सारे बातों का उत्तर बाद में दे दूंगा, मुझे उसमें कोई चिंता संकोच नहीं है।
Thank you. Srimati P.T. Usha. Please.
Respected Honorable Chairman, sir. Honorable Vice Chairman, sir. My most respectable gurus, mentors, and fellow members of this august house, as today is my maiden speech, I hope you consider me as your humble sister, and I also hope you will forgive me for any mistakes in my speech. Sir, with all your blessings, let me begin my speech by paying homage to all our freedom fighters, our soldiers, policemen, and all the great noble-hearted individuals who had laid down their lives for our nation. It is because of their sacrifice and everyone who are in service of our nation that we are now living a loving and peaceful life. It is because of their service that has made the very foundation of this great nation that we are able to enjoy the freedom which is given to us, and hence we also have commitment towards our nation. As nominated Rajya Sabha member at age of 58, I am grateful for the good fortune of taking my first step in the temple of democracy. I took oath on 20th July in the name of God to uphold the constitutional values, and all those days, like a grade 1 student, I have been watching the proceeding of this sacred house. I also had the great opportunity of representing my country in more than a few hundred events as part of my sports tapasya. I would like to look at the democratic process of post-independent India through the open eyes of an athlete. Since independence, we have been providing various facilities for improving our sport. Our proud sports personalities have achieved rare achievements in hockey, wrestling, and football at Olympics venues. Our sportsmen have several achievements that inspire the younger generations in athletics, tennis, and other sports. Hockey legend Dhyan Chand and his team, Mevalal ji in football, K.D. Yadav ji in wrestling, Ramanatha Krishnan and Amritraj brothers in tennis, the mighty Milkha Singh ji in athletics, and though India's first female Olympian Mary D'Souza ji. All of them are our true legends. We have achieved great feats in 1980s, but later on, unfortunately, we lost the upper hand in hockey, football, and wrestling. With the 1983 World Cup trim, the prestigious of our nation in the field of cricket has risen once again, such that we were the world champions in another major sporting event after hockey. In the 1960 Rome Olympics, we lost the medal of Milkha Singh ji by fraction of a second, and it was repeated once again in 1984 with a difference of 1/100th of a second. Thereafter, me being a girl from the remote place of Payoli in Kerala, a village without any facilities to pursue my sporting dreams, met the spoke for the first time to the then Prime Minister, late Srimati Indira Priyadarshini ji, which was of the most precious moment of my life. Then, by running up to year 2000 and training my younger generation till yesterday, this devotee has dedicated herself to the betterment of sports, Indian sports, and once again had the rare privilege of meeting Honorable Sri Narendra Modi ji, the most admired Prime Minister among the world nations. All the while we can count the achievements of our nation in the field of sports since 1984. We embrace the sports as a self-criticism as there was no overall growth. I wish to mention that our achievements in athletics, tennis, weightlifting, cricket, chess, billiards and snooker, badminton, boxing events are huge. From the time when our beloved Vajpayee ji became the Prime Minister until 2014, only a few silver stars were seen performing at bigger stages. In terms of infrastructure developments, in addition to things such as training grounds, conditioning facilities, and improved diets, better treatment facilities were not adequately available then until come 2014. In the 1980s, I used to travel from Payoli by train for up to 4 days to reach Delhi to work out on athletic tracks. But now I am happy to state that after 2014, our country has been making enviable progress in various fields, including unparalleled achievements in field of sports. And that is why today's generation and experiencing district to district better training facilities in varieties of sports. Facilities such as synthetic tracks, swimming pools and gymnasiums and other amenities are being made readily available. The new generation sportsmen are now getting better coaches, scientific diets and resting facilities. But there is one department which needs more emphasis, and that will be the field of sports medicine and sports science. The front-running top 10 nation in the field of sports and Olympic has backing of modern sports science technology and support of sports medicine system. Injuries are an inseparable part of the sports, and the Department of Sports Science and Sports Medicine has an important role to play in helping sports personalities recover from injuries as fast as possible in bringing them back to training in a short period of time. Unfortunately, in our country, this branch is still in its infancy. We need to have immediate and special attention to this sector. This is the time to become self-reliant, and in those terms, I strongly suggest that sports science, sports medicine and coaching should come under the scheme of our beloved Prime Minister, Sri Narendra Modi ji's dream project, Atma Nirbhar Bharat. Now, all this has been mentioned only as an introduction, but on the contrary, over the past 20 years, there has been general tendency towards doping, or what we can call as an abuse of performance-enhancing drugs and steroids. According to today's statistics, India ranks third in the number of individuals who have been tested positive for steroids and punished for doping. In this context, the nation which is ranked 1 in the number of individuals tested positive for steroid has already been excluded from the world sports by other countries. I wish to mention that this serious concern which need to be addressed immediately. We are yet to open our eyes to abuse of doping in our country, which was once earlier confined only to the senior national levels, has now reached the juniors, college and school level, which is serious concern that need to be addressed. When talented sports individuals are abusing performance-enhancing drugs, they are not only sacrificing their career and life for short-term benefits, but they are also spoiling the talents of upcoming sports individuals who work very hard to improve their performance levels. In addition to, they are also tarnishing the image of our country among other nations, and through this, we are also destroying the dignity and legacy of our ancestors that worked very hard for it. To control this alarming situation, with the special interest of our sports minister, the Lok Sabha has passed the anti-doping bill last week. While this phenomenon can be controlled to some extent through legislation, yet still more effective measures are impressive and needed to be taken. We should create awareness about the abuse of performance-enhancing drugs in sports among athletes, coaches and parents, and there should be no delay in taking timely action and appropriate ban against those who test positive of doping. At the same time, the activities of National Anti-Doping Agency, NADA, should be accelerated and should be given the freedom to operate without any other obstacles. National Anti-Doping Agency and the National Dope Testing Laboratory in New Delhi should get necessary financial freedom, and all competition must be brought under the watchful eye of NADA. And not only for the competition, but also for the preparatory time also should be tested. For instance, in a competition with the participation of 800 athletes, the NADA authorities are used to come up with just 10 anti-doping kits, and it can be undoubtedly said that such measures are happening because of the financial constraints and lack of adequate manpower. It is only through the timely interventions of our legislatures, state these people and the people of representatives who should be more assertive regarding matters related to sports and should be every means ensure that a better opportunity is created for our sports individuals to showcase their true talent and potential among world nations. If the motto prevention is better than cure is implemented scientifically and educatively in the field of sports, and we as a nation which has always dreamed big and hoped good for our people, I can indefinitely say that in the next 10 years we will become one of the top 10 sporting superpower among the countries of the world. I wish to mention that we have reclaimed the Olympic medal in 2020, which we had previously missed in 1960 and 84. Now let us give support to our upcoming sport talent by all means and respect so that they can compete vigorously in the upcoming Olympics and World Championships and win with the flying colors so that millions of Indians living in other countries and our Bharat can stand with their heads held high. Today's faith is the strength of tomorrow. On this note, let us all work for the betterment of new and strong India. Let me conclude my speech by extending my heartfelt gratitude to our beloved Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi ji, who is very keen on development of sports in country. As a daughter of Bharat Mata, I bow my head before her and wish that I could serve this nation for the betterment of sports. Thank you, Honorable Chairman, who gave me this opportunity. I thank everyone once again from the bottom of my heart. Namaskar.
Thank you, Srimati Piti Usha. Now, Dr. Fausia Khan, 4 minutes.
Why 4 minutes, sir, to me?
Numbers or more.
Anyway, thank you very much. Sir, I would like to begin by first welcoming this bill and saying that my family is a great fan of Sachin Tendulkar and Sunil Gavaskar, sir. Like millions of other families in our country and even outside our country, particularly the youth, not because they have been successful sports persons, but simultaneously also because they are icons and an inspiration of what the field of sports has groomed them into as human beings: righteous, disciplined, determined, humble, punctual, hardworking, unbiased men of integrity. So generally people thrive to become like their ideals and adopt their ways of life. The current expansion of the field of sports itself may be attributed to this idealism. There are thousands of such icons who are role models for the youth. Sports is a field that inspires love, affinity, and brotherhood. And the general behavior of great sportsmen impacts the way our youth think or perceive life. While discussing this bill, this must be kept in mind that while addressing the issue of doping in sports, we are also trying to address the value system in our youth. Sir, righteousness has always been a part of Indian tradition. I think most misguided sportspersons are not introduced to doping when they reach international level, but they are introduced to doping much earlier, when they participate in state or national level competitions. And that is where our focus must lie. This is necessary. Therefore, I thank the Minister for having brought in this comprehensive bill, which covers not only sports, but also gives a message that values matter, not only for the youth of India, but also to the global community. Sir, the growth of sport is a definite indicator of the growth of the nation. I must congratulate our young Minister, Anurag Thakurji, for his vision, dedication and contribution, and for the fact that we are winning medals after medals in various competitions during these days. The bill, I think, is well framed, but it is evident that scope has been voluntarily left for the rules and regulations. I have some suggestions that could be incorporated by the Minister. Enhancement drugs like amphetamine and steroids have been evolving even from before the 1940s with the evolution of the pharmaceutical industry, and rules and regulations also have been simultaneously evolving. Also, sir, changes are coming in accordingly in the World Anti-Doping Code. At the same time, masking drugs are also being developed in the natural course of evolution. Therefore, as I think you have thought about, awareness programs are very, very important. They are already being carried out, but many more are needed. Sir, I'll just give my pointers because I have less time. I feel that we need to carry these awareness programs at all levels, not just at national or international level, but state level, district level, down the line, because that's where the program begins. And we have a very well-established network in the nation. This network is the associations, the federations, the clubs. I think they should be included in this because this network percolates down to the taluka level, sir. So before every competition, a session and a certification on anti-doping must be made mandatory as a precursor for the permission of the competition to the association, sir. If that is done, the association becomes accountable to ensure that awareness for anti-doping is carried out by them. Also, sir, screening. Screening is not only necessary at the international level, but also down the line to the district level. So just give me 1 minute. Because you have mentioned a big lab which is worth crores of rupees, but what we need are little micro labs, mobile labs, or like simple glucometers that we have to check our sugar. In the same way, if we can screen out doping at the little lower level, that would be, and if made mandatory for the associations, this would produce very good results. So guidelines must be circulated. Accountability of coaches, accountability of associations have to be ensured.